For the first DIY, I'm going to be painting this wooden apple container from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start by painting it with some red Waverly chalk paint in the color Crimson. And now I'm going to paint the leaf on the apple with some green paint, and I'm also going to paint the stem with some brown paint by Waverly. For the second DIY, I'm going to be using this wooden plaque that I got from Michael's, and I'm going to start by painting it with a nice base coat of black paint. Next, I'm going to cut some popsicle sticks into the shape of a crayon, and to do this, I'm going to cut a flat edge at the bottom, and then at the top I'm going to cut it on an angle, and I'm also going to cut the pointy end down a little bit so that it is not as sharp, and I'm going to repeat this for 6 popsicle sticks, and I'm going to paint each crayon a different color of the rainbow. And to make them look more like crayons, I wrote out each of the colors onto them, and then I also made a black line towards the bottom of the popsicle stick and also towards the top of it. And now I'm going to glue all 6 of the crayons onto the wooden plaque that I painted, and that completes this DIY crayon sign. For the third project, I'm going to be using one of these wooden plaques that I got from Michael's, and I'm going to start by painting it with a base coat of white Waverly chalk paint. I'm going to make this sign look like a piece of lined paper, so I sketched out all the lines to be a 1/2 inch apart, and now I am painting the red line on the left side of the lined paper, and then I'm going to paint the blue lines of the paper with some Ocean Waverly chalk paint. I wrote out Live, Love, Learn onto the lined paper, and now I'm going over the pencil outline with a Sharpie. And I also sketched out a banner in the top right corner of the paper, so I'm going to also go over that with the Sharpie. And now I'm going to paint each of the little banner pieces a different color of the rainbow. For the fourth project, I'm going to be using one of these mini clay pots from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start by painting the bottom part of the clay pot with some black paint. Then I'm going to paint the rim of the pot with some yellow paint. I'm going to make the top of the pot look like a ruler, and to do this I wrapped a tape measure around the rim of the pot, and then I marked out the 1-inch markings, and now I'm going over the pencil outline with a Sharpie. To finish off this project, I'm going to use a chalk pen from Dollar Tree to write out ABC 1, 2, 3 on the front. Next, I'm going to make a mini wooden flashcard, and to do this, I'm gluing together 2 of Dollar Tree's tumbling tower blocks, and then I glued another set of 2 of the blocks on top of that, so that it is big enough to stand on its own. And now I'm painting it with some white Waverly chalk paint. And then I use a Sharpie to write out 2 plus 2 onto the front of the flashcard. And that completes this easy DIY. Next, I'm going to make a mini letter A using some wooden popsicle sticks. So I'm going to glue 2 of them together on an angle, and then for the third popsicle stick, I'm going to cut it down so that it can be the line in between. And I need to cut the end of it to be rounded like the other side. And then I'm just going to glue that into place. And I'm going to paint the wooden A with some Waverly chalk paint in the color Ocean. For the last DIY, I'm going to be making a schoolhouse using foam board. And to do this, I'm going to start by marking out a 4.5 by 5.5 inch rectangle. And then I'm going to make a mark in the center at the top, and then also make a mark on both sides at 4 inches. And then I'm going to connect the 2 lines, and this will make the angular part of the roof. And I'm going to cut my piece of foam board out, and this piece is going to be the main body of the schoolhouse, but I'm also going to do the exact same thing but on a smaller scale, and this one is going to be 3 inches tall by 2 inches wide for the rectangle. And then I'm going to do the same thing where I mark the center and then 2 inches up and connect the lines to make the angular part of the roof. And I'm going to paint both pieces of foam board with some black paint. To create the roof of the schoolhouse, I'm going to be using some wooden craft sticks, and I'm going to cut them on an angle on both ends. And I'm going to do the same thing for the smaller foam board piece, but I'm going to use a skinnier craft stick. And then I'm going to paint all 4 of the roof pieces with some red Waverly chalk paint. Now I'm going to glue all 4 of the wooden craft sticks onto the pieces of foam board for the roof of the schoolhouse. Then I'm going to glue the smaller foam board piece onto the back of the larger one, and this will make it look more like a schoolhouse. And then I'm going to take some of these white letter stickers that I got from Michael's, and I'm going to spell out "Back to School" onto the front of the schoolhouse. And that will complete this DIY schoolhouse sign.